November 24th, 1971. A man in a dark suit and sunglasses boards Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305. He orders a bourbon and soda, lights a cigarette, and hands the stewardess a note. The note was clear. He had a bomb. He opened his briefcase to reveal red cylinders and wires. His demands: $200,000 in unmarked $20 bills and 4 parachutes. After getting the cash in Seattle, he ordered the plane back into the air toward Mexico. Somewhere over the freezing, rain-soaked forests of Washington, he lowered the rear stairs and jumped into the pitch black night. Despite the largest manhunt in FBI history, D.B. Cooper vanished like a ghost. Was he a master criminal, or did he die in the jump? Subscribe to explore more unsolved mysteries. Unlike typical hijackers of the era, Cooper was disarmingly calm. Flight attendant Tina Mucklow described him as thoughtful and polite. He paid his drink tab, insisted on paying for meals for the crew, and offered tips. He knew the local geography well, pointing out Tacoma and Seattle from the window. While Flight 305 circled Seattle for 2 hours, FBI agents scrambled across the city. They gathered 10,000 $20 bills from Seattle banks. Every single bill was microfilmed to record its serial number, creating a database that police hoped would eventually catch the thief. At 5:45 p.m., Flight 305 landed at Seattle-Tacoma Airport. Cooper permitted all 36 passengers and 2 flight attendants to disembark in exchange for a heavy knapsack filled with cash and 4 civilian parachutes delivered by airline officials. With the plane refueled, Cooper ordered the remaining crew, 2 pilots, a flight engineer, and Tina Mucklow, to fly southeast toward Mexico City. He specified strict flight parameters: low altitude under 10,000 feet, minimum speed of 150 knots, and the cabin unpressurized. Crucially, Cooper demanded that the rear ventral stairs, a unique structural feature of the Boeing 727 located under the tail section, be left unlocked. The crew warned him it was dangerous to fly with the stairs lowered, but Cooper knew the aircraft better than they expected. At 7:40 p.m., Cooper ordered Tina Mucklow into the cockpit and locked the door behind her. Outside, a terrible storm was raging. Heavy rain, 0 visibility, 200-mile-per-hour wind currents, and freezing temperatures down to -70 degrees wind chill over dense pine forest. At 8:13 p.m., the pilots felt a sudden upward pressure impulse in the flight controls. The tail section had suddenly lightened. Dan Cooper had strapped the heavy ransom bag to his body, donned a military parachute, lowered the aft stairs, and stepped into the freezing void. When Flight 305 finally touched down in Reno surrounded by police cars, law enforcement stormed the cabin. Cooper was gone. All he left behind was a black clip-on tie on seat 18C, 2 parachutes, and 21 stubbed-out filter cigarettes. The FBI launched Operation Norjack, short for Northwest Hijacking. It became one of the most massive, expensive manhunts in history. Over 1,000 suspects were investigated, door-to-door interviews conducted, and thousands of leads pursued across North America. Military troops, FBI agents, and search dogs combed thousands of square miles of dense forest around Mount St. Helens and the Lewis River. Despite months of intensive searching in harsh winter conditions, not a single trace of Cooper, his parachute, or the money was found. For 9 years, no physical evidence surfaced. Then, in February 1980, 8-year-old Brian Ingram was camping with his family on Tanabar Beach along the Columbia River. Unearthing sand to start a campfire, he uncovered 3 rotting bundles of $20 bills totaling $5,800. FBI forensic labs confirmed the serial numbers matched the Cooper ransom record. It proved that at least part of the money had landed in the region or washed down the river, but the remaining $194,200 has never been found. Prime suspect number 1, Richard McCoy Jr. Just 4 months after Cooper's heist, McCoy hijacked a United Airlines Boeing 727 using identical demands, parachuting over Utah with $500,000. McCoy was an expert Army skydiver, though the FBI ultimately ruled him out due to differing physical descriptions. Prime suspect number 2, Robert Rackstraw, an ex-Army Special Forces pilot with extensive demolition and parachute training. Rackstraw had a criminal record, possessed military jump credentials, and taunted investigators for decades when asked if he was Dan Cooper. Prime suspect number 3, Sheridan Peterson, a Boeing engineer and avid smoke jumper who had served in World War II. Friends claimed Peterson talked openly about skyjacking aircraft prior to 1971, though he denied involvement until his death. Did Cooper survive? Skydive experts point out that jumping into a 200 mph freezing rainstorm at night over wilderness in business shoes and a trench coat was virtually suicidal. The parachute he chose was an unsteerable reserve chute that could not be steered. Yet, if he died, where is the body? Why was no chute canopy, harness, helmet, or container ever located during 45 years of intensive searches? An experienced jumper might have survived if he landed near a road or cabin. In July 2016, after 45 years of investigation and 60 volumes of case files, the FBI officially suspended active investigation of the D.B. Cooper case, reallocating resources to higher priority cases unless physical evidence emerges. Over half a century later, D.B. Cooper has achieved mythical status in pop culture. He harmed no passengers, spoke politely to the crew, took $200,000, and dissolved into the mist of the Pacific Northwest. More than $194,000 of the original ransom cash remains unaccounted for. Somewhere beneath decades of pine needles and river silt, the remaining fortune, or the skeleton of Dan Cooper, is waiting to be uncovered. Whether he was a tactical genius who pulled off the impossible or a desperate man who perished in the storm, D.B. Cooper remains the ghost of American crime, the only man to hijack an airliner and vanish into thin air. Subscribe to True Crime Heist for more legendary cases.